Ollie, Jared, great to have you here. Hope you're feeling well after a big day yesterday.
It's a great day yesterday.
It was.
Yeah, amazing.
A wonderful evening as well. I'm going to start with kind of I think an interesting question, and it's something that Benji had asked the live stream audience as well. Ollie, what are some of your key takeaways from yesterday? What were some of the things that sort of jump out at you as you reflect back on all the content and conversations yesterday?
A lot of great conversations yesterday, a lot of great speakers. One thing that really stood out for me in particular was clarity. So the notion of chatbots have been around for a while, not very effective in my opinion, but the demonstration I saw of the Clarity product and what it's going to bring to bear, that blew me away. So I'm very excited about that and to see that live in the wild and to work with our customers that want to leverage that kind of technology.
Wonderful. Jared, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the one thing that stuck out was actually Raj shared it, and I think it really opened my eyes to some of the work we're doing with Bloomreach and BigCommerce and a lot of our client partners, which is this concept of consumers being searchers versus seekers. So the idea that we need to be able to feed experiences that allow people that are seeking something, but aren't specific on what they're looking for, and the way in which AI can help us digest that information and better anticipate what they're seeking. So excited to dig that into all that with the teams further.
Yeah, it's kind of a paradigm shift, right? And I think the concept of searching versus seeking, that's a kind of an interesting paradigm shift when we think about how we've engineered digital experiences and digital marketing in the past. I think it's really interesting. Jared, you're working with lots of different clients to help drive and innovate their digital experiences and how they think about engaging their customers. What are your customers sort of asking you about as it intersects with AI and generative AI? Can you kind of bring some of that forward for us? What's on top of mind?
Yeah, so you end up having two sides. The first, which is admittedly, I'll admit my own fault, is where I fall, which is, hey, am I a little behind the trends here? Is AI going to be changing the way in which you're doing things, or should I keep on operating as kind of a fad? So educating those folks while really equipping our team with industry experts has been really important. And the other side, I think, and the truth is somewhere in between, is folks that are really chasing AI. They want to implement it. But in my candid opinion, this is what we share with our clients, we don't want our clients to be guinea pigs. I think that there's use cases today for AI that are really powerful to get more out of less, is what I say. But we should not be looking to have AI power all the experiences. And so that's what's been coming up the most as of late is where should I fall on this? Am I behind? Should I be rushing? And for those people that are super bullish on AI, I love the excitement, but trying to not get ahead of ourselves where we could end up.
It's very similar to how I talk to clients about it too. You want to be prepared. You want to be doing some experimentation. You may be using it in the back office, and you're obviously going to use it when it comes to personalization and some optimization. Absolutely. But these are tools that you certainly want to understand. You may want to do some experimentation around, but we're still fairly early in the adoption of this within the customer experience. So Clarity is a great example of Bloomreach bringing a product to market that will mature in the not too distant future. Clients using that, testing it, is going to help improve it, obviously. And so that's a really important thing. And maybe soon that's being used within the customer experience. For other Bloomreach customers, they're going to want to pay attention to that and maybe think about fast following. And I think that's true for a lot of the different capabilities that we're talking about. And then I'm sure you have clients using it around, subject line, product detail page, different kinds of content, but it's still early days in terms of how to really integrate that effectively.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that is my personal opinion is much like we've seen the evolution of best-in-class software for specific use cases, is today AI for many of our clients is broad, terms, right? And so we haven't sort of seen
breaking it down into specific capabilities,
content, personalization. Exactly. So I think that's what we're keeping our eyes most on, is being able to identify what are the specific areas that they need some support, right? Where human interaction might not be able to deliver the best experience, and they're going out and trying to seek that. And that sort of is dipping your your toes in the water into your AI journey, in my opinion.
That makes sense. Holly, what about you? How is Bloomreach? I almost said Bloomreach. Excuse me. How is BigCommerce kind of looking at AI as it relates to the majority of your customers, but also within the enterprise segment?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we partner with Google, and we're going to leverage some of their AI capabilities to expand on what we do. So we've always had things like recommendations, but they're not at the same level of what Bloomreach may bring to bear. So we'll have some AI baked into that product. Product descriptions is another area we're going to lean in with them here in the next quarter or so to flesh out product descriptions so that you'll have that capability in BigCommerce. And then we're creating hooks in the platform for large language models so that developers and our partners can expand upon what we do, art of the possible, create the things that we don't have today. And then for the larger customers, we see there's always a need of a best in need or best in class solution, such as Bloomreach Discovery or the engagement platform, or soon to be Clarity, where we'll plug into those different solutions. So we have over 5,000 partners between technology partners and solution partners in the ecosystem. So we want to leverage what they bring to bear versus just being solely reliant on BigCommerce, because you're never going to use everything we do out of the box at that scale at the enterprise level.
That makes sense to me. I'm kind of interested in what your read is on the kind of the market today. Okay, we're going to pivot a little bit. I'm kind of interested in this because I've been having a lot of conversations over the past weeks, and obviously here at the event, trying to get a sense for where we're at in this market, around commerce technology and marketing technology. What I'm hearing is there's sort of a pause, and that people are kind of waiting to see how the economy sort of flushes out, so to speak, here toward the back end of the year. And people are starting to lay in their plans for next year here soon, right? We're already in August. Hopefully you're not waiting till March of next year to get your 2024 plan sorted out. No judging, but at any rate, I'm kind of interested, Jared. What are you seeing? What's kind of, how does the market feel to you right now?
I feel broader sense with what we watch with the economy. I think that's where AI once again comes in so important. Is we saw really scary things, right? I think there's a lot of fright in our economy. Unfortunately, every day I'd open up my phone or my LinkedIn, layoffs. And so I think what people are really excited about, and AI as a tool for this, is once again being able to really optimize their time. To do their jobs better at various merchants, but as well deliver better experiences to consumers. Because that's the other thing is that the market, the ecosystem of e-commerce has developed a lot. And I think that consumers are in a power position today in the way in which they have a lot of options, especially during COVID. A lot of Davids went after Goliath. We saw it in CPG. I'm sure you've seen that within BigCommerce.
Right.
It is the fact that people are expecting more, and therefore they need these personalized experiences that AI can help power with open-based platforms like BigCommerce. So.
Yeah, I think from a planning perspective, we have definitely seen call it a downshift in we've seen cycle times increase, frankly, right? And so whether we're in a recession or not in a recession, or we're going to soft land, who knows? Hopefully we do soft land, and I'm hoping coming out of 2024 we'll see a rebound. So for all the folks out there planning, please plan aggressively for growth. But it's definitely been a more challenging year for I think all of us in technology, because there's a lot of people on the sidelines waiting and seeing. And then to add to it, there's more folks involved right now, Brian, in this process. I would say a year ago, 2 years ago, and pre-COVID, you rarely had the board of directors or the private equity firm weighing in on these types of decisions. And almost every deal, especially of significance, definitely has that incorporated in the process.
Well, I wrote about this recently in my newsletter, Cocktails and Commerce, and I talked about sort of the platform replacement cycle. And really, when I was an industry analyst many years ago now, let's be honest, the replacement cycle was 3 to 5 years. Right. Now that was a different era, but now we're looking at 8 to 12 years. Right now, that's pretty different. And one of the reasons why, but also related to sort of the decision making, is that frankly, this is a significant part of every business now. Right, the digital channels are incredibly important, not just for the direct transactional revenue, but obviously influencing what's happening across every channel. And so it's a big strategic decision that's being made. And so there's more at stake, if you will. And so more people are going to get involved in order to ensure they feel it's the right decision, which is, I think, very, very interesting.
100% agree. In the time when you were an analyst back in those days, I think there was a field of dreams mentality, and it worked. If you build it, they would
Some
come.
people painted the picture.
Yeah. But it literally, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And they did. If you had the digital property, folks were coming to the site, they were buying from you. It's a much more competitive landscape now.
Yeah.
And people are making wise decisions. They know it's not just about having a great site. You're going to have to advertise and market that site and then have the best experience possible. So there's
and it's
more
not
at
even
stake.
about the e-commerce site. This is your front door.
This is
to
your front
every customer interaction.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the things I love to sort of bring up, because I think, I obviously pay a lot of attention to e-commerce results. I think that's a valid thing to focus on.
Sure.
Conversion rates, average order sizes, right? Our sales up by how much? Da 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 da. But the reality is, almost every transaction in almost every channel now is being led by digital, right? And so that's why engaging the customer effectively in these channels is so critical, right? And it's more than just, the underlying platform. It's all the different pieces that need to come together. BigCommerce obviously provides a great platform for that, and then being able to bring in other solutions as needed and great agencies to help support all of that. I think it's a very interesting sort of transition, in a sense that I think COVID, really cemented, if you will, what was already there.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. I was having a conversation. I won't have too much particulars in case their boss is on the line. But
we're not going to name names. Come on.
No naming names here. I'm not here to have people lose jobs. They're already scared about the robots stealing their jobs. But I was having an interesting conversation last night, and candidly, this individual is a little bit frustrated, right? Mm-hmm. Because e-commerce by revenue on paper was only driving about 10%, sure. Right? And their company has hundreds of retail locations. And I said, well, the case you have to make is they have hundreds of channels, hundreds of interactions in those stores. Of course, revenue is going to come here. You need to be able to invest in these experiences and personalize it as if they're walking into their local store and they're seeing their favorite, sales associate, Ali, right? Greeting them, knowing what they want.
You're buttering him up.
Yes.
I have to. Now that we're not on the same battlefield anymore, Ali and I.
We used to compete.
Well, I think to your point, right? Like being able to demonstrate through attribution, right, the impact your digital channels are having on all the other channels is really key. And I think that individual may be struggling to be able to demonstrate the impact the digital marketing and the digital channel is having on everything else. And unfortunately, people are just kind of counting the cash register and thinking this is only 10% of our business, so we're going to invest accordingly. It's kind of the wrong way to think in today's day and age, when many consumers, especially younger consumers, really are beginning their shopping journeys, even deciding where they're going to go first on digital, even though there may still be serendipity inside the physical store environment, and something some people enjoy, some people don't, and it depends on your shopping journey and what you're trying to accomplish. But I think it's a real key. So back to sort of generative AI. As we fast forward 5 years, I'm going to start with you, Ali.
Sure.
As we fast forward 5 years, you've worked in this market for a very long time. You understand how these businesses work very well. What do you imagine an e-commerce organization sort of looks like with the impact of generative AI and the maturation of AI in general? What impact are you kind of thinking about as we fast forward, say, 5 years?
It's a great question. I think it was Kara Swisher said this, and it's been said before, anything that can be digitized will be digitized. And so in the late 90s, early 2000s, when you heard that, you thought, no way, it's all starting to come to fruition, but it's still not fully actualized. Mm-hmm. So I think generative AI is going to give businesses that traditionally have difficult selling models and complex catalogs and may not even have images for all their products or product descriptions. It's an unlock for that. So you'll see a lot of B2B businesses that have been reluctant to come online because they think their process or the way they sell is too complex. I can envision a world in which digital is a much bigger portion of their business than today. From a organizational standpoint, I think you'll see probably the same size teams. I don't anticipate teams will get leaner. We were talking about this earlier, that there's still going to be a need for developers. There's still going to be a need for marketers.
Well, the reality is most of these organizations are running very, very lean already. Right. They can't find the people or they're fighting for budget.
Yeah.
So these tools like come in and they help the current team do a lot more. I don't foresee a lot of job loss. Rather, I see a lot of efficiency gain.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So who knows what's going to happen 5 years from now? The other thing that I'm kind of hoping for is that we're both in the Mock Alliance and we think about composability. And today it's a very developer-led endeavor. It requires resources. It's not for the mass market today. I can see a world in which generative AI helps make that easier.
It already is, actually. Talking to some Mock members who are actually using generative AI to write integrations.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting, right? It's like, okay, the generative AI has an understanding of all the documentation around how to write to these different systems, et cetera. And it's actually capable. I mean, obviously a human being should double check it and there should be testing and so on. But this is like an example of how, as you said, these things might work more effectively. And then I also think, you've got a lot of other aspects that are sort of coming into play to make composability easier, more plug and play, more business user friendly. That's evolving very, very quickly. By the way, I loved your point on B2B. I think that's a really important one. And I think it actually translates to B2C as well. And that is, salespeople require a lot of expertise, right? In certain kinds of verticals, certain kinds of product categories. It's hard to train them.
It is.
Right? It's hard to recruit them. There's actually a battle for talent in B2B sales right now, which is very, very interesting. And generative AI may actually, have a big impact on that. Right?
100%.
Being able to onboard all that domain knowledge and then serve the customer in a much more effective way. We're about out of time. Jared, any final thoughts as we quickly wrap up here?
No, I mean, I think one of the important things, and both you gentlemen just touched on it, is the open nature. The integrations is what I'm betting on. That's why we've partnered with Ali and BigCommerce, is the fact that they open up the ecosystem. I think that's going to be equally important as it comes to AI, is all these systems being able to digest. I tell people about AI, it's only as good as the data or the inputs, and we don't need prompters, even though those jobs are opening up now. Prompters creating all these rules. What should be prompting is the ERP, the e-commerce platform, the ESB, Bloomreach, powering these experiences to make these internal AIs smarter. So that's my one suggestion.
Well, thank you both for being here. It's a great conversation. Have a wonderful day. Wonderful to see you both again.
You too.
And we'll stay in touch.
Absolutely.
All right. Cheers.